Hi, thanks for joining me today. The card we're going to be making is this one right here. But today, instead of teaching you how to make the entire card, what I'm going to focus on is teaching you how to do this particular technique. This technique is called emerging color, and I don't know how well you can see it, but basically what you're seeing here is the medallion stamp set, but then you can see a background peering through it, and I'm going to teach you how to do that today. So I'm going to give you the dimensions for the card because we're not going to go through that later. So for a technique like this, I find to get your image to be the focal point, you want to have a card base that's slightly bigger than usual. So this card base is cut at 5.5 by 11 and then scored again at 5.5. So your card becomes 5.5 by 5.5. Then your second layer piece, oh, and my base I use Perfect Plum. Then your layer piece, I've used Wild Wasabi, and it is going to be 5.25 by 5.25. And then finally for your focal piece, you're going to use a piece of Whisper White and cut that at 5 by 5. So those are the dimensions for the card. So let's get started with the technique. And what you want to do is take your white piece of paper, and then you want to find a background image that's going to be, I don't even know how to describe it. You want it to be kind of bold, but still working for a background. So what I've used is one of the stamps from the Vintage Vogue set. And I'm stamping it in my Wild Wasabi ink, and then you're just gonna stamp it all over your piece of Whisper White. So you wanna get good coverage, but it doesn't have to be totally perfect because you are gonna be covering a lot of it with your other ink. So just go ahead and stamp everywhere. Always stamp a little bit off so that your piece is left looking like this. Now you're going to take your larger image. I'm using the medallion, and you're going to use your Versamark to ink this up. So just get some good coverage on there. And then you want to stamp it on your image. So I'm going to stamp mine just going a little to the right and towards the bottom. Now you want to press down really firmly. I would generally say you don't need to press down firmly with stamps, but when you're doing an image this size and also using the Versamark, you want to make sure that the whole image is stamped down. And then you're just going to lift that off. Now you're going to take some of your Stamp and Emboss powder. For this one I'm using the Stampin' Up's Iridescent Ice. And you're just going to cover your main image with that. So you just get some good coverage. Okay, and now we're going to put the excess back in, and this is where I wish I had my powder pals. So we'll just do our best here to get all that excess in. I'm just going to tap it off on my scrap paper. Okay, so you're going to be left with this. You probably can't see, but the embossed powder is covering the entire medallion. Now, for the sake of time, I've already heated mine, but this is where you would use your heat tool and just get all the embossing powder adhered. So I have already gone ahead and done that on another piece here. So I'm going to show you the next step. So the next thing you're going to do is take your brayer, which looks like this, and I know nobody ever knows what I'm talking about when I say to pick up your brayer, but you're going to get your brayer and you're going to get your ink pad. For this one I'm using Perfect Plum, and you're just going to ink up your brayer really well. You're going to have to do this a couple times, but that's okay. And then you just want to start rolling it right over your image. And you're going to have to do this quite a few times because what you want to do is cover it so completely that the floral image, the floral image is not going to show through anywhere else on your paper except for behind your medallion. So it can take a few times. just keep going back and inking it back up. You can go in a different direction to help you get more coverage. But one thing I would mention is when you can see that you've mostly gotten it covered and you're gonna be finishing up, just look back over to make sure that you've blended all your lines where you've rolled. You see what I mean? So that you don't get any streaks of color on your image. Okay, now I could probably do it a little better, but you get the idea. Now what I have forgotten is to bring myself a Kleenex, because what you'll want to do now is just take a Kleenex and wipe off the excess ink that's on your image, and then it'll give you a really nice crisp look. Okay, but that is the technique, emerging color, and I think it's really stunning. I love it. Now what I've done on the card is I took my 1 1/4 inch punch and I stamped the medallion again in the perfect plum, and then I punched out the center. I put our, what on earth is it called? Anyways, a rhinestone brad in the middle, and then I used my dimensionals to pop it up on the top, and that is my finished card. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you go off and try this technique on your own. Thank you.